Click. Hi, this is Sue Greenwald. I'm with awakenedstories.com, and I'm with a new friend, BeJohn. And hey, welcome, BeJohn.
Thank you.
How are
And
you?
you call me B. I'm doing
B.
well.
B. Okay. So we're here today to talk about Lydia Durham, who claims to be the illegitimate daughter of President Trump or ex-President Trump, however you want to view him, and Whitney Houston. And you've met Lydia in person several times, have you not?
I have.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us kind of about your awakening and how that started and how you were drawn to Lydia and kind of what progressed from there?
Sure, sure. Okay, so picture a normal normal guy who follows football and works and does the fantasy sports thing, and that's it. That was me in 2020 when COVID came around, January, February.
Yeah.
I had zero clue about life outside of this 3D existence, right? And the very basic 3D existence. No, I've never voted, don't know, didn't know about current events, didn't watch the news. I played phone games and followed sports. That was it. I have a family. COVID comes and my life does a 180. And basically I was activated. With work being shut down for the couple of weeks, I began researching COVID stats, and the world started being turned upside down, and I got sucked in the clown world, is what I called it, and uh, it's tough to describe for until so we went through the election. As these times are coming, I am becoming more and more red pilled and really testing the limits of my belief system and
Right.
the boundaries of. So as those walls start coming down, then election comes, inauguration comes. I'm following the different social media things just like all the other patriots are doing, and July of 2021 comes around, June 30th, and a gentleman by the name of Andrew Emilio Fernandez, Mr. Dez is how he's known. He comes on the scene, and for whatever reason, Andrew activates me further, and I begin to experience spiritual downloads. And so for 4 or 5 months, these progress. And I'm being fast-tracked, basically. Fast-tracked from the loser that I started out
Oh
as
no.
into, well, let's just call it what it is. I was nothing, right? I mean,
You were a mainstream person, a
yeah,
mainstream
right.
person.
I had
Right.
no foundation of anything.
Right.
So I went from that, and in a year and a half or 2 years, I was on my way to what I currently am. It was a guided tour of red pill. I was only shown what I needed to see in order to keep going. So every decode I did was meaningful. Everything was guided. Uh, every picture or screenshot I did, every timestamp that I look back over the last 2 years, it was all meaningful. It was all guided
Right.
spiritually. So we are taking up now till about December of 2021, last year.
All right.
And I was then a moderator on Mr. Dez's channel, and he was doing a live stream, and Lydia comes into the live stream, and I saw her name, and I knew just briefly, I had watched just a brief story or interview from her. It was brief, a month before, but the name stuck. And when I saw her enter the chat and the live stream, for some reason, again, this was further activation. My entire downloads began with trying to pull in people that were random people in Mr. Dez's chat. I was being told who needed to be grouped together. I didn't know why. I knew that they needed to be in a group. And so I had brought together a dozen or so people in one group, 20 or so in another, and I wasn't sure of why. I just knew that I needed to. And when Lydia came in, I felt the same pull to make contact with her and see why was she there all of a sudden. What was the coincidence here? What was she in there for? And so I did. I reached out to her, and it started out as just a friendly conversation. But then December 24th came, Christmas Eve. And I remember I was taking a bath, which is where a lot of my downloads come when I'm in the bathtub.
That was one of my questions. Like, how do you know you're getting these downloads? Are they while you're sleeping? Are they while you're...
Oh, yeah. Well, we can, okay, so remember where I'm at here, December 24th. So a download comes when they first started coming in. I was laying with my now ex-wife, watching the TV show Manifest.
Oh, yeah, I like that one.
Well, that's where my first download came, and it was a wild experience. If you can envision, I'm just laying in bed and normal watching the show, and then I turned my head and I experienced a full a scene, a vision, or a message. It was regarding Mr. Des, though. I saw him as the flash event, if you will, that he would be the one to bring the flash, the event to. Now, at this time, I still didn't know what a flash event was. Okay, so me seeing him be this event, this flash, it really, that started it off. So I look away from the TV, but that the show is still on, and my wife is still laying next to me at the time, and so I can have this experience, and she doesn't really know that I'm having it. But there I am, like I fully remember stopping watching the show at this moment. You know, I'm having this experience in my head, and I went right to Telegram, and I began doing gematria on people's names, and it was like right then, it was just, I was urged and pulled to do certain things. So that was my first one, and after that, it's best described as chills and tears. Ice cold, I would get cold, very cold, to where my body was fully chilled and energized, if you will, like chills from adrenaline pumping through your body. And tears, I remember, this is where my name comes from, Crying Ice, was during the download. I would get so cold and I would cry. And so the crying was my confirmation. It was my, I would basically put questions out there in the ether. And I knew when I was hitting truth because of the tears, and the chills. So it was my way to communicate with the other side, if you will, or whatever's out there giving you this.
Did you get visions then mostly? Like, did you see a scene, or did you get a...
I wish I did more visions. It wasn't that.
Yeah.
It's information.
Okay.
But
you have a knowing.
It's an aha moment. It's a flood, though. And I screwed up my first few because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what this is. So, I come from the last 12 months, I had been doing nothing but decodes. And so all of a sudden I'm getting this new information flood in, and I'm trying to make sense of it as it's coming in.
All right.
It's the worst thing you can do. It puts bias into what is otherwise just supposed to be track and record. And the next one is going to fill in the blanks. They're eventually going to make a puzzle. But if you're trying to make sense out of what you're getting right then, you're not only missing things, but you're influxing, you're putting in your biases into the download.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn that until seeing some of David Wilcox's stuff, and just the fact that you just get a pen and paper, write down what you're thinking and the thoughts that are in your head, write them down, even if they don't make any sense.
Right.
And all of a sudden, when I started doing that, I would have the download, And not, I would have pages of just,
Wow.
it was just mumble jumble. It was
Okay.
not understandable. Things like spells, things like teaching me, trying to teach me how um, how the Illuminati used the languages to keep us under spells.
Okay.
How letters were joined together, and how the numeric value of those letters is what creates the spell, the reduction of these numbers and these gematrix. So I come from this line of decode. So when you're getting this info, it's really hard not to stop and try and decode that info there. Yeah.
Right. What
But
I would
so
always
when I did jot it down, I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry,
no. Go ahead. No, keep going.
When I did learn to just jot it down,
Yeah.
I would realize, I would start seeing pieces of the download in the things I was searching or just coming across. And
Right.
so I started realizing that, oh, I'm just a little ahead of the game with these. And so quit trying to force it. Just allow what to come. And then it's just like the saying, the future will prove the past. You do, it fills in for you.
Right. Right.
So this is where I am at this point. I have had a few of these from July 14th, my first one, to now December 24th. We're working with 6 months basically. So I had had quite a few downloads in this time. Enough so that I had separated from my wife in late October. So for 6 weeks, at 6 weeks after my separation is where we're at, December 24th. I have a very strong urge to contact Lydia.
All right.
And when I do reach out, she is having dinner with someone, I believe, but one of her first, we barely know each other. We have only spoken for maybe 4 times in a DM up into the spot. I could tell she needed help. She actually said, I need a miracle. So when she said, I need a miracle, I remember telling her, well, you might just have one, because that's what I knew I was being sent right then, that this would be a long-term prospect. Like I knew that I was going to be helping Lydia from then on. And yeah, it started then, and it hasn't stopped yet.
So you had, she appeared in this group that you were moderating, if I'm not mistaken. And like maybe you messaged her a few times, so you kind of were familiar with her, but you had an urge on Christmas Eve of last year to contact her and offer her help.
Mm-hmm.
So she
I
said
had a download in that bathtub on the 24th. Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's nice
And
that you know the date.
from there, I didn't even wait. I was still in the tub when I was reaching out to her.
Yeah. Okay. So you followed the impulse. All right.
Oh, yes.
You got the hit and you just went for it. Okay. So
you have to, because they won't stop.
All right. So what happened next?
Well, then I entered Lydia's world, right? And that's a wild ride. So,
all right.
I didn't know about Lydia's story, really. All I knew was 60 seconds worth of seeing her talk herself, So I started researching her channel and her story and just listening to her and just trying to get a grasp of what is going on.
Right, right.
More so, I guess some of it was curious, but up until this time, you have to understand it didn't matter to me whether or not how much of her story was true.
Right.
The urge was to help her because she needed help. That was it. And and I still don't know where the downloads come from, but 50%, you have to realize 50% of my brain or my being is telling me God is talking to you. So it has to be, I don't think I've turned away an impulse yet. I don't, because of the chance that this is God speaking to me. You just don't, you're not going to say no to that.
I love what you just said, Doesn't matter really whether she's telling the truth or not.
Mm-mm.
She needs help, and you got the impulse
Yes.
to help her, and you did.
Yes. Yes.
I love that. And of course, I believe her story, and I don't even know all of it yet, but I have gotten the hit that it is correct. And what I'd like to say is just because something seems implausible doesn't mean it's not true. Maybe we don't have all the facts yet, or they haven't been presented to us yet. So well, I think it's going to be unfolding, and we're going to all be like so happy down the road.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So tell us how you helped her.
Okay. Well, so the first up until maybe 3 months ago. So from December 24th up until, let's say, early summer, it was just every few days sending some money through Venmo, doing what I can. I'm on the coast, central United States. She was in Florida coast at the time.
Yeah.
So we were just out of range for me to be able to quickly get to and from her. So I just started with the financial aid, and she was very much happy with that,
Right.
and so was I. Until she made a post that she was looking for help with a vehicle, and I just like usual, the impulse came. I was sitting in a tree. I mean, of all places,
Oh.
I was sitting. This is where Mike likes to hit me. Like, this is how I know. I know by now that it's Mike, okay? Because like I told you, he's part of me now. He, he has influenced me to do things that I wouldn't normally do. Uh, just like I'm an easily embarrassed person, right?
Mm.
So even getting on and doing videos, that's not. I'm really a behind the scenes. I am introverted to the max, right? And so I needed inspiration, and I needed help in getting comfortable with what I both know is coming from myself, and just being able to be around Lydia and her group, her life experience. She's a 180 from me.
Right.
You know, if when we're in public, she's Lydia and I'm my reserved self. And it's so
Yeah.
Michael has helped me with that.
Okay.
Things like dancing around the house, things like that get you more easy and comfortable and confident with yourself.
Right. Right.
That has been his influence. So I got this urge in a tree one day, the same day or the next day after that she asked for help with a vehicle. I texted her and said, let's get you one.
Wow.
So her and the sweet lady she was living with at the time, Miss Caroline, they went and got a car. I hadn't met Lydia yet. You know, this is not in person. So this was still just phone only. So she got a car. She got her insurance, first 3 months insurance, and she came down a couple days later, 3 or 4 days later, she drove down and saw Jamie and I. And
Wow. Wow.
we spent a couple days. It was the first time meeting. And since then, I mean, I've driven to, I drove to Pensacola to take Lydia to the hospital.
All right.
That was an experience.
So so she puts out that let's just put a pin in
Sure,
that.
sure.
She puts out that she needs a car, and so the next day you contact her and said, let's get a car, and you funded her vehicle.
Yes,
Used or new?
it was used.
Nice. Nice. How so you followed your impulse and just trusted that it was the right thing, that she just needed help. You didn't doubt that she was like, trying to pull one over on you or use you in any way. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no,
Did,
I never did.
did your
I
family
can
give you
honestly say I never did.
did your family give you some static for this decision, or don't they know?
They don't yet.
Yeah. Okay. Oops.
That's okay. Well, they were gonna when they saw this, so yeah.
Okay, so then, so we fast forward and you said you took her to the hospital. So what happened then?
How much has she told you about the hospital visit? Anything?
No.
Let's just say it was one of the weirdest experiences I've had.
Actually, she did tell me, and I'm not sure if that's on or off camera. And I don't, yeah. So
I'll tell you my part of it that
as much as she would be comfortable disclosing.
The hospital one, I was so uncomfortable in there that I DM'd an influencer and asked him, what the hell do I do? Like, I thought I was doing the right thing, but I don't think I am. At the hospital, they immediately forced masks on everyone there. They forced Lydia to put on a mask, and you could tell she's pregnant beyond years at this point. Okay, so they've got her in the wheelchair in a mask, and I reach over to pull that mask off, and you know, it's if it wouldn't have been a female there putting the mask on her, we'd have had some problems. I was so angry with how they were treating Lydia, and it could have been for any lady in that woman in that scenario. It was wrong on every level, you know, where your blood just starts boiling inside because you know I'm watching a crime against humanity take place right in front of me. And I asked the security guard, like, you're in Florida. I know the laws in Florida. What are you doing? This is not a law. Yes, it is. I said, now you're lying to me. Why are you lying to me?
Right.
So we finally get in the back, and thankfully the nurse that was in that back waiting room heard what had happened in the front and in the lobby, and he was quite understanding about just how crappy their policy is, and he set us at ease a little bit. But what came afterwards was just as bad. We're talking about the doctor that came in had the worst bedside manners that you could ever imagine.
Right.
So much so that when we left, I was convinced that he was either an actor or he was he was made to make us feel that uncomfortable so we would leave. There's signs we're given in these are the hard things to get people to. When you're in the moment, there's signs that either the white hats or God gives you to guide you when you're being guided, or when you're connected this way. There are signs, and one of those signs I have noticed is to make the enemy, or someone who might not have the purest intentions, they show themselves really over the top to where your mechanisms kick on, and you're supposed to be able to say, oh wait, that's bad enough that I need to get out of here. It happened to me. I've avoided my cancer treatments in the hospital because they wanted me to put a mask on, you know, and the more times it happens, now I'm able to recognize it that, wait. This is not normal behavior for a human to do. And so this is my cue that I don't belong here. You know, and those bedside manners that doctor gave to Lydia, we're talking about questioning what was inside of her, talking about her weight, things that you couldn't imagine. You couldn't imagine a doctor saying these things. And so after a few minutes of him talking, it was like, Lydia, let's go. There's no way that they can help us here. And sure enough, we just stopped and left and never looked back.
Right.
And I'm glad we did. It was it was horrific. It was just ugly, and was distasteful. And I would, I couldn't believe, I thought I had done wrong though. For a while, I thought I had, because I pushed it on Lydia to go. She was unsure, but she had had some health issues around Mother's Day, if I remember right. And it kind of freaked me out. And she hadn't been to the doctor. So, I convinced her to go.
Right, right.
And the second I did, like I got in that hospital, I regretted it. And so I thought I really messed up.
Right.
And I'm glad when
you drove all that way to take her to the hospital and encourage her to go for her benefit. Then they treat you badly and you feel guilty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I really did. I really did. And it wasn't, we returned, Jamie and I returned back to our room that evening, still in Florida. And we went on the beach, and I got a sign like right away, right away, I got a sign. The sky like lit up. I had 2 or 3 rainbows. I still have pictures from it. But again, it was, that's continually how this has been. When I think I've messed up or I haven't done right, the sky or the sun or something like that, like sets my mind at ease,
Right. Well, the fact that you are actively trying to help somebody else that needs help is so admirable. Because I saw a quote the other day, and I'm going to totally screw it up, but it said, if, this is the way we think, just one person can't make a difference, said 7 million people. So no one does anything, right? Because we all think that way. But what if a couple people together can make a difference? It's worth doing. And that's what we're trying to do with these videos, is just build awareness and get to an influencer so Lydia gets help. You know what I mean? And by help, what I mean is the first step that I see is that she wants her son back. All right. But go ahead with your story. I'm kind of going.
No, please. Let's finish.
She needs so many things, but like she wants her son back. You know what I mean? It would be great if people believed her, but at this point, I don't think that's priority anymore. You know what I mean? She just really wants people to leave her alone so she can live as normal of a life as possible. She wants answers if she can get them. She would love to meet her parents, but it's not mandatory. Like a relationship would be a blessing for her, but not mandatory. She's lived without it all this time,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. One of the first things I did for Lydia was I did a 50-minute video before I even knew her. And I based the video on nothing but her name and birthday, and just did all the numbers on it. And I remember telling her, like, the numbers were clear to me that what she was going to receive after the event would be the exact mirror of the life she's had here.
Right.
And that hasn't changed any. She's still going to, what God has in store for her is a mirror to the suffering she's had.
Right.
And what I can't, Lydia is quite possibly the hardest headed individual I've ever met. But from the start, the message I had for her was that it's time to change your message a little bit into one of victory. And that was very hard for her to accept. And she still hasn't accepted that from me, but I'm gonna continue to pump it to her, because that's what I'm being told.
Yes.
To tell her is that she won. She's still here. Her kids are still here.
I'm getting that she just needs to develop a little bit stronger connection with God, source, creator, whoever you want to call it, a little bit stronger, and everything she wants and needs will come to her.
Mm-hmm.
So she will get her son back. Somebody out there is going to help her. I don't know who it is or when it will be. But like, if enough of us little guys share videos like this around to someone that is an influencer or has someone's attention or ear, that would be so helpful,
Yeah.
And just put yourself in her place, a single mother with 3 kids. And I mean, that alone is hard enough. Okay. That alone is hard enough. And then you've got attacks on your person. You know, she's had her car set on fire. She's had all these accidents. She's had attacks on her. Then her kids are taken away. And it's just one thing
Ghost
after another.
pregnancy.
Yeah, yeah. Constant everything, though. Just think how beat up you would feel if you were in her shoes. And all she needs is someone to care.
That's it, right?
And you've done a great job.
Well,
So
thank you.
what happened after the hospital visit that had gone awry?
So then, all right, so we returned back here to down the coast a bit, and things just kind of keep going. After then is where about a month later, Lydia gets connected with King Smarty.
Right.
And that's when things started turning to the positive for her, because all of a sudden, right after then, she was contacted by Florida Rose and Clifford, and I believe the third as well.
Yeah.
So she right away, she went from, you know, the downside of the doctor's visit, a lot of doubt, and just a lot of self-doubt, right? Unknowns creep in. And then when her good friend Corey connected her with the other YouTube gentleman who did an interview with her and King Smarty, before you know it, stuff starts happening, and she has plans with Florida Rose, and she's trying to get her back down here. And so that was the next thing. That was the next project for us, was just to first, she was still living, Lydia was still at her friend's, at Miss Caroline's. So there was just some details to iron out to get Florida Rose here. Lydia had to gain enough confidence that she was strong enough and able to do this. You know, I'm sure she had feelings of, you know, this, I only get one more, like, this is it, right? If I'm taking Florida Rose back, and this is it for me. So there was a lot of unknowns in her life, which made it hard to just fully commit to that, or be like okay with that. But once we got her confidence enough that you just go for it, right? Just get her here, where that it turned into she needs to fly to where Florida Rose is in order to fly her back here. So we had to do the whole double plane ticket thing, get Florida Rose some supplies to be able to travel. And so that was our next undertaking. We got that done. And then I drove to Destin, because she had moved. I don't know if we're supposed to say that. So
it's okay.
Lydia had moved, and she had Florida Rose. And so I wanted to meet Florida Rose. So I drove to Destin, and we spent a day there, and I got to meet her, and that was awesome. And I got to meet King Smarty too.
That's awesome.
That was pretty cool. And that's about where we're at now. Is Lydia seems to be in a much better place. We've seen the little video from Anonymous come out, which shows that at least there's people watching. You know, her story's coming out. It's all going to work out. I am so sure. I've never been more sure of anything. I know that this is the future and what it holds. I'm very confident of that. I know Michael will be back. I know he's still around.
It must make you feel so good to know that you've helped her in a major way. Like your support was instrumental to her.
It does. It does. But you know, it really is just a calling, and we've all answered our callings. Anybody that's here has answered their calling, right? I mean, we've all gone through hell to be here. So it was just me answering. I can look at it and say, well, that's so, yeah, I've always been a helpful person, but I would have never done what I did. You know, it's God's influence right now, and it's easy for me to see the biblical nature of what's going on. I am not religious by any means,
but
that
was my next question.
Quite spiritual, and the biblical nature of this, it's undeniable.
Right.
It is undeniable.
You can't make like her story, and we haven't even told all of the story yet. You couldn't make all that up, just like you can't make up what's going on Earth up. You could try. It would be the longest and most crazy story anyone would ever concoct. And
Easy.
yeah. So yeah, she I believe she's going to have great success. Like I said, we just need to have someone share this to the right channel, to the right person, and get, you know, more help.
I don't think you're going to get much movement on Clifford. I think you got movement on Florida Rose because of her age.
Right.
And it was just illegal for them to hold her any longer. I think Clifford's is going to happen when the rest do.
Right.
It's going to be one big CPS disaster, and everyone's going to be, you know, whatever that might be. But yeah, I don't know how much individual basis those are going to have, but I know the end game, and that's enough. You know, I think he's being protected until that happens. And what's more important, you know,
that's very
I don't
exciting.
necessarily know that who Lydia thinks is caring for Clifford is still the person caring for. Everybody's in a mask by now, especially those who were in this situation. Now, Clifford does say he's in an abusive spot. So, you know, I don't know when the last time that was the case. So I don't want to speak on Clifford's behalf. If he's in a dangerous spot, then hey, yeah, I don't know his story. I don't know his story. I should not have spoke on that. But
no, the way I understand
way,
it, he's in an abusive household right now, and I don't know details on that, but obviously she wants her son back. So I had a question from the last interview I did. I'm going to say it was last week. And it was like, well, why did they take the children away in the first place? So what she had said is that they had come in and they said, well, you're suicidal and you're homicidal. You're going to kill them and yourself. And she says, no, I'm not. And so they took just Clifford. They didn't take her daughter at the same time, which doesn't make any logical sense, does it? They wanted him. So then they came back, I think a day or two later, and took the daughter away. And yeah. And of course, she said that she actually went to her therapist at the time and got a letter stating that she was of sound mind. Of course, you know, any mother would be out of their mind if that happened to them, but they didn't care about that information. That's the story I heard. And I'm paraphrasing it so I could have gotten something wrong, but horrible.
That's what I've heard too.
Yeah.
Exactly what you just stated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is horrible. And I see these videos now of the ones that are being released of the actual on-scene incidents where the parents are standing there and the cops are keeping them from, and they're just taking these kids out of their arms.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
heart-rendering, isn't it?
It is. It's the saddest thing you'll ever see.
Yeah.
So yeah, this all has to come to an end. And so that's it. I mean, I'm just kind of following my calling right now. I'm the luckiest person alive right now. I was able to sell out of a third generation family business. So I was running that with two siblings, and my brother bought my stake out in that. So I've been able to kind of just stay out of that 3D hustle and bustle, the work life, the matrix life, and all that, and really focus on my ascension and helping people. And so yeah, now we get the culmination of all of this, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
There's more to my story that'll come out, and there's plenty more about Lydia's, and I mean, we haven't even started.
Right.
Yeah, that's what's the wildest part is all of this is happening. There's been no disclosure really outside of a few secret space soldiers, and I mean, it's it, you know, we are the disclosure. So these kind of videos it's where it starts. It's going to come from us.
Totally. Yes. Is there anything else you want to add about Lydia or the story here? Is there anything else?
No, I just well, if my goal today was Well, first set some people's mind at ease about helping Lydia. She still needs help. She's still living out. She doesn't have her own place. She still can't meet any real bills. She can't work. She hasn't delivered this baby yet. So the bills are going to keep piling up. She needs assistance more than what I can provide. So for the interim, until our wealth distribution happens, until that happens, she still needs help.
Right.
So I would just encourage people. I've seen the backside of the story, and you don't have to have any fear about somebody getting over on you, or her having the wrong intentions. I knew the second Lydia cares so much about the people that help her, it makes it easy. You know that you're doing right, because she will drive 6 hours to thank you once that's who Lydia is. So trust me, your mind will be set at ease the second you do it. And I also think there's a special story behind what's inside of Lydia and her past. So, I mean, be a part of it. Something different and special. You can say that you were a part of something that nobody had the balls to believe in. Be that person. I'm enjoying being that person, because right now I started out, I was the craziest person in my city, easily. I still am, but I'm becoming more and more proven right as the days go on. So quit with the fear and all of that crap. Just it's time. God's armies this is our destiny, and what we're here to do is bring God's army here in our next version of this earth. And I think Lydia is a big part of that. Right. So let's keep it going.
Right.
That's it.
So Lydia does have a Cash App if you want to make a small donation for her living expenses, and I'll put that in the description below, as well as a Telegram channel where she puts various proofs and coincidences and things that happen. And that channel is called There Are No Coincidences, which is so appropriate, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And I'll put more information below. And I love what you said. This whole story is going to unfold, and it's going to blow our minds. When we look back, it's going to be like, wow, we couldn't have guessed that for a billion years.
Right. And we were so front row for it.
Yeah.
And so be appreciative of that. I thank Dad in heaven. And if you don't mind, I'd like to say just a quick prayer before we go.
That's fine. That's fine.
So to a Father in heaven, Divine Mother above, I give you thanks for my role in this movement. I give you thanks for everyone who has sacrificed a little something to bring your word here and heaven here, and bring the golden age here in this present time. I ask that you keep us strong and keep us on a well-lit path, to always give you thanks and praise. Amen. That's it.
I thank you for your gratitude, for your assistance. I'm grateful, and I'm so appreciative that you shared your story with us. And again, you literally got the inspiration and did what was right. And I appreciate people like you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for hearing it.
Talk to you soon.
Yes, we will.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.